It was called the Harold Sachs bill. We worked with the Hospital Association, the Nursing Home Association, to get the last bill up. There was a few things that we would like to change as we go forward, and I think everyone, if I went around the table and asked you to give one story, I think you'd have multiple of stories that people could not get in to be able to see their loved ones through COVID or other times that they were in either hospitals or nursing homes. I have multiple stories myself, and I had multiple phone calls through the last 2 years of people calling saying, "Hey, we passed this bill, but I still can't get in to see my loved one, especially at the end of life." Their Harold Sachs' story was the fact of they had been married 52 years, and his wife didn't get to see him before he passed away 6 months of the last of his life. Having said that, anyway, we have looked at this bill from a neighboring state that allowed what we were worried about the first time, which was that the nursing homes and the hospitals would still get funding from CMS. And I've added that language in here. So as we go forward, I'll be more than happy to answer some of the questions on this bill. We'll go forward at this point. If not, then I'm happy to step aside if somebody else would like to speak, or I'll go for the final passage of the bill if there's not.
Would you mind telling us what changes between the previous one?
Yeah, so you've got a couple different things. The last bill, it's the language from the way that this is set up is that with CMS coming down, they would not been able to get funded the way that we tried to do our first bill with the Nursing Home Association and the Hospital Association. With this particular bill and the language that's in it, they are allowed to be able to get funding through that. There is one agreement that I've worked with Dane and the Association on this morning, and that is the difference between what a visitor is and an essential caregiver visitor is. For example, when my father was in the hospital and he was at the end of his life, if the doctor said there are no visitors because he doesn't need to be around um, everyone that wants to come see him, then he can put up no visitors. All right, that's your church going people. But if you had an essential caregiver, like he could nominate me to do that, then I could come in, take care of him, give him ice cubes if his mouth was going, he couldn't do that, feed him, take care of him if he had to go to the restroom, shower him if I needed to, which most of the people there in the hospital would prefer that instead of some nurse or someone doing that he didn't know. So the difference in the visitor and the essential caregiver is going to be, I would like to be added to this on the floor if it's okay with this committee.
Any questions from the members? Senator Roberts,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move favorable.
second by Senator Butler.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we tabling what he's offering to,
I'm not
what,
offering
what
a
are we,
table.
what are we tabling here? The whole
We're
bill?
not tabling anything. He made a motion to pass the bill. He offered amendment on the floor is what he said. So there's no amendment in here.
Okay, I have a question about the bill though.
Okay.
Senator Gudger, could you just explain, just for clarification, on page 1, would prohibit healthcare facilities from requiring visitors to submit proof of vaccination from, so is this certain circumstances? Because I know I visit nursing homes quite often, and usually there's a sign on the door when you go in, that everybody that's coming in is required to wear a mask and things like this. So, um, is this, well, they don't require vaccination now to go in.
So the way that we put this in is for the fact of hospitals will still have procedures and policies in place that regulate the visitors. Okay, this particular thing says it prohibits that you have to be vaccinated to come see your loved one. What it can't, the hospitals and procedures that they apply at each hospital can say if you would like to have a test to make sure that you're not COVID, that you do not have COVID, then you're able to do that test before you come in, which we're going to be talking about that. I think Marika was wanting to talk to me about that before it hit the floor also.
And also, they oftentimes have certain types of garments that you put on going in. And the fact of the matter is that even though you may be going to a designated place, you're walking down the hall, you're going, you're exposing
Mhm.
others.
Right. And you can add, they can add the PPP language in there like we did in the first bill. So if you needed to wear PPP, mask, gloves, shoes, the dress, you're able to do that.
Okay.
The hospitals are able to do that and add that at their particular location.
But this is healthcare facility, so I'm assuming this encompasses a nursing home as well, because a person could be in palliative care
Mm.
or a hospice or whatever.
Yeah,
So
the
this
health
would not just include hospitals. This is covers everybody.
page 3, line 80. And that gives you the definition of a healthcare facility, that last paragraph on page
Okay, so
3.
it includes everything.
That is correct.
Just one last question. If there's a child, um, maybe the grandparent want to see the child,
Yes.
does this take care of this as far as this is the end of life and people know that, and of course, it can be a traumatic situation. So how is that addressed in here? Or is there a limit to the number as far as this maybe a limit to one person at a time?
That's
But
correct.
you wouldn't want to send a child in there by himself, especially if it's a young child or not able to handle this situation.
We talked about that this morning with the hospital association. For example, if there was a child, especially during flu season, the doctor said this particular person is critical. We don't need children that have been in school and have been around a lot of other children that could have
Right.
had flu. They can say that you're not able to let them in. So the difference in a visitor at that time is one thing. But if it's end of life, and let's say my father was passing away and he requested, the hospitals are able to sign, and it's in here too. I'll find this real quick. But sign something saying that the additional caregiver provider must in person. Give me 1 second. I'll find it for you. All right, page 5, line 137. And I'm going to read this. The policies and procedures may require a visitor to agree in writing to follow the healthcare facility's policies and procedures. A healthcare facility may suspend in-person visitation of a specific visitor if the visitor violates the provider's policies and procedures. Having said that, if the doctor says we don't need children coming in because it's critical care, then they're not able to come in. Now, if it's end of life, I think that's a little different that we're going to try to address. That's one thing we talked about this morning, adding that into the bill on the floor if it's okay with this committee. And then also Senator Marika and I said that she would like to add that in there, so I believe it's coming.
But it is flexible, because it's a case by case situation, really. On a
You are
lot of
correct.
this.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more questions before we call the roll? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for this opportunity. Is it appropriate to have comments from the floor, supporting the bill or getting their thoughts, from experts that are in the room? I see Hospital Association, I see Medical Association.
Yes, but in this situation, I think there's no need. We got plenty of time to talk and discuss, but yes, usually it is.
And Mr. Chairman, may I say something? Senator Stewart, if you'd like to, the Hospital Association, Nursing Home Association, they're both going to come and have meetings with me. Obviously, I'd love for you to be there if you'd like to. Thank you.
Would you restate the motion, please?
Motion to give the bill a favorable report. Would you call the roll, please?
Senator Beasley, Senator Bell, Senator Butler, Senator Chasteen, Senator Coleman Madison, Senator Gavan, Senator Roberts, Senator Shellnut, Senator Stewart, Senator Weaver, Senator Williams, Senator Stutz, Senator Melson.
10 ayes, 0 nays. The bill is given a favorable report. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, committee. Thank you, Chairman.